Welcome to Soccer in 60, presented by the Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all the pro soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60.
Buckle up indeed and welcome. This is Soccer in 60, the fastest paced soccer show in SoCal, brought to you by SAC Health System, covering all the week's news, highlights, injury bugs, and more from LAFC, the Galaxy, Angel City, Orange County Soccer Club, and of course, the Major Arena Soccer League's very own Empire Strykers. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, J.R. Liebert, affectionately known as Scarf. And I got my man, Timmy K. What do you say with me one more time? Timmy, glad to have you back, my friend.
JR, glad to be with you again today, buddy, on this beautiful, sunny Southern California afternoon, evening, as we get ready. And I get to hang out with all my favorite people talking footy for the next hour. It's going to be great, JR.
Absolutely. We're going to have Ananda and Rob from Lacuna Galaxiana on a little bit later. Just want to remind everybody first, please subscribe to our podcast on all your podcasting platforms. And please make sure to subscribe to Soccer in 60 on YouTube as well. This is going to be an incredibly jam-packed episode. Of course, the biggest news of the week. We talk about it with Apple TV's MLS coverage guru, Michele Giannone. He'll be on with us to talk about the big news, of course, is Riqui Puig undergoing another surgery, potentially missing another year. We've got some big signings down in Angel City land and a few things to talk about in the way of black and gold for LAFC. And again, hoping that our Empire Strykers can get rid of this losing streak that they've been going on for the last 5 matches or so. But it is going to be another jam-packed episode. And I can't tell you again how great this interview is with Michele Giannone, again, of Apple TV's MLS coverage. So plenty of LAFC, Galaxy, and Strikers talk with that. But before we get to any of that, let's get to our friends over at Omnitrans. In partnership with the Empire Strykers, experience the thrill of game day with Omnitrans. Be in the heart of the action at Toyota Arena and let Omnitrans take care of the ride. Simply download the Transit app to catch your bus and enjoy a stress-free trip to cheer on the Strikers. Don't miss out on the excitement and make every moment count at Toyota Arena. Ride with Omnitrans to your next Empire Strykers match. All right, it's time to talk some Angel City, and we've got some new signings incoming. There were 3 announced. In fact, their Twitter account teased that they have 5 signings to announce in the next 4 days. 3 of those came. We are recording this episode on January 7th. So 2 collegiate signings coming out today on their Twitter account. The first, Timmy, University of Louisville defender Carson Cherry signing a 3-year deal with Angel City. She, of course, spent 4 years at University of Louisville, 2nd team All-American last year. And for a defender, scoring 12 goals in 69 collegiate appearances. Timmy, maybe a little bit of offense coming out of the back line here.
Yeah, I think this is a brilliant signing for Angel City if she holds up, because in 69 matches, she does have those 12 goals, like you mentioned. And if the defense can contribute in any way, shape at all to Angel City's bottom line, this will be a great signing, Scarf.
Yeah, it's something that we hadn't seen previously from Angel City. Looking for a little bit of punch there. And I just want to mention this quote, Mark Parsons, in talking about Carson Cherry. He said, Carson is a ball-playing defender with a great range of passing, as well as an ability to dictate play. Defensively, Carson is relentless in dominating duels, defending her box, and defending 1v1. Timmy, something that we saw several times last season. Angel City would get a lead, but then late, instead of bend but don't break, it was, well, here comes the break once again. And we're hoping that Carson Cherry can stop some of those hemorrhaging of goals late in games. It also helps to have an incredibly talented midfield to hold that ball. And the second signing that was announced here on January 7th was Duke University's midfielder Karina Laguerre, signed to a 3-year contract, just like Carson's contract. She was once the number 4 overall prospect in the class of 2022. And after an incredible career at Duke, 59 wins in her 65 appearances. And she's got a lot of U.S. youth national team experience as well. This could be a real buy low, kind of a high reward target here for Angel City. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I think you are putting somebody into this midfield that very much complements our first signing that they meant, that we just talked about. 65 matches, and if you can come in and be a midfielder that is going to not only hold the ball but again help on the attack, I think this is a great signing. Without the draft anymore, right?
Yep.
That the NWSL, you can go pick all your players, and it's becoming very much a league where you can go and you can scout all these players across the entire country and go grab exactly what you need, not to kind of have to pick and choose through a draft. You can just go sign these players. And the other thing I like is that they're all on 3-year deals. It's not like a 1 or a 2-year deal. The commitment is there, and I think the upside on her is just brilliant. I think it's going to be a very good signing again.
Yeah, and again, youth national team experience, U15, 17, and U20s for Karina. So great experience there on the U.S. Women's youth national side. But the big signing, January 6th, Brazilian international midfielder Ari Borges. She, again, 3-year deal, like you mentioned, Timmy, all these signings on 3-year deals. But we are talking about a drive the bus, rev the engine, attacking midfielder coming to Angel City after 3 years at Racing Louisville. Last season, she scored 6 goals in all competitions, which I believe would have made her the second leading scorer on Angel City last year. But before Racing, here's the incredible stuff. She starred at Palmeiras in Brazil, and all she did was score 34 goals in 3 seasons. She's a regular with the Brazilian women's national team, scored a hat trick in the World Cup in 2023. And I love Alex Strauss's description of her, Tim. She's a winner with an edge who defends with everything she's got. Timmy, to have an edge out there in the middle of the park, driving that bus for Angel City, is this the piece that they've been missing?
It definitely is one of the top 2 pieces that they've been missing. Between this and a real true striker to really put the ball in.
Yeah.
I think this is as good a signing as you're going to see by any of the NWSL teams this whole season. And to get her away from Racing Louisville, like you said, it's another 3-year deal. This is what Parsons and this is what Strauss were really looking for. This is kind of why, to use a different type of term, but gutted the team. But they wanted to get who they needed to get for Strauss. And this is a big, giant thing, Scarf.
Oh, yeah. She did say she was looking forward to joining a great project at Angel City FC, which I hope wasn't a Freudian slip, but more of an issue maybe with the English language. But very excited to see Ari Borges in Angel City colors. Before we get to some Orange County talk, let's not forget Michele Giannone, talks all about LAFC, Galaxy, even Empire Strykers. A great interview with Michele Giannone coming up. But let's get to our friends over at National Core first. National Core is one of the nation's largest nonprofit affordable housing developers and a proud sponsor of your MASL team, the Empire Strykers. At National Core, they believe that soccer has the power to transform lives just like they do. They believe in building strong communities on and off the field. And to learn more about National Core and their mission, go to nationalcore.org. Let's head on over to Orange County. Not a lot going on down in Orange County right now. But Timmy, if you and I wanted to, we got a shot to make the club. You mentioned it during our pre-show talk, the open tryouts. If you want to go ahead and make the club, I believe Ousmane Sylla was one of those players last year, right? That made it.
Mohamedou War.
Yeah, Mohamedou War. Yeah, that's the big one.
Yep.
January 17th, Timmy, maybe Orange County finds the next Mohamedou War.
I think it'd be great because, and you want to talk about the plethora of talent here in SoCal. He played in even a lower division, not even pro, and won a championship before he had come on to Orange County. He tried out twice, didn't make it the first year, makes the club this past season, and now he's one of the stars. He's on the banners out front. He's a guy that Orange County really is going to look to. And so, hey, I still have my old Copa Mundials in my closet. I'll go out there and put them on for a little while, Scarf.
Listen, unless they need a very stationary goalkeeper, I don't think I'm going to be the one to make the club anytime soon. But yeah, I apologize for mixing up Silla and War there. It was definitely Mohammadi War. But what does it say, Timmy, too, that Orange County and any of these USL clubs really can find these diamonds in the rough? You mentioned the amount of talent in Southern California. These players who might be playing at lower level, maybe an NPSL or a UPSL side, something like that, and they're looking to make that next leap. These open tryouts, including the one on January 17th for Orange County, they can really provide that pathway to the pros.
They really can. And one of the big things that you're going to get, not only in the tryouts, is you're going to get everybody from the coaching staff is going to be out there. Coach Danny Stone is going to be out there. Everybody's going to be there. So not only are you going to get to go out and play against a whole bunch of really, really good players, they're going to coach you up too and give you some pointers. Even if you're not going to make the team, they'll tell you how to get better, how to do things a little bit differently. And then when you come back next year, if you don't make the team, you can do something like what War did. Come on, make the team, earn a full contract. And again, the amount of talent that's here in Southern California, I could easily see another one or two people getting picked up this season.
Yeah, and who knows, right? Sliding into any roster spot on a USL championship side, if it's a club like Orange County Soccer Club, with the Pro Rel coming in 2028 with Division One, Championship, and League One, all kind of vying for spots in that Pro Rel. All of a sudden now you're playing in a league where you have the ability to go up against some incredible top-tier talent week in and week out and maybe be part of that incredible pyramid of promotion and relegation. So could be interesting. Yeah. I'm really excited to see what happens with these open tryouts on January 17th. Let's not forget, coming up, remember, we talk LAFC and Galaxy with Michele Giannone, Apple TV's MLS coverage guru there. So it is a fantastic interview, by the way. Don't forget. But before we do that, we're going to bring on a couple of gurus of the Galaxy, Rob and Ananda of the Lacuna Galaxiana podcast. They are, of course, the co-hosts of Lacuna Galaxiana, and we appreciate having you guys back on again. Rob and Ananda, welcome back.
Hey, Scarf, thank you so much. Timmy,
it's good to be back, boys.
Happy New Year.
Hey. Happy New Year, boys. Great to have you on again.
I guess my question, though, is it? I'm really sorry, guys, that we have to have you guys on to talk about this, but
did something happen?
It was a shockwave through the MLS news section. Unfortunately, it looks like Riqui Puig has undergone a second knee surgery. From what we understand, it is the same knee that he underwent surgery on that caused him to miss all of the 2025 campaign. And it looks like 2026 is at best in doubt right now. And this is where I just be quiet and get out of the way and let you guys talk about this for a moment.
Yeah, no, 2026 is gone. It's not even in doubt. It's a formality. He's done. Oh. He's shut down. He's returning in 2027. And of course, he is Riqui Puig, Galaxy star midfielder, hasn't seen the field since the Western Conference final against Seattle, in which he played on that ACL messed up knee. And it looks like, his bravery has, done him a world of good, because unfortunately for him, he has to go through that second surgery. I mean, the impact first, let's talk about the impact on him psychologically. He has to go through rehab again. He went through the knife again. I mean, just all that work that he put into trying to get back. I mean, he reportedly, not even reportedly, Will Kuntz let us know at the end of the year that he was chomping at the bit to get back. Called him and said, "I want to play against Minnesota," and he had to, kind of shut him down. And it's really hard to see on a personal level, a player or a person that I've seen around Dignity Health Sports Park, and work hard, have the setback, but then everything else that comes into play, like on the sporting side. I've said it on our podcast and in a couple of different podcasts that have been on recently that this is probably the most pivotal decision that Will Kuntz and the Galaxy have had to face in the last foreseeable past, and it'll dictate probably how they do over the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, Ananda, let's talk about the effect or the impact on the squad. Obviously, look, without Riqui, you won MLS Cup, right? He was hurt in the match before that. And then what we saw from the club the last 10, 12 games of the 2025 regular season without Riqui Puig, they really seemed to come into their own, playing at the level of a third or fourth or fifth place playoff team, right, in the Western Conference. But what does this do? Obviously, we know what it does to the morale, but they were planning on Riqui being a part of that midfield with all of these pieces. Now what?
Now they have to pivot because there's nothing else to do. And now they have a DP-sized hole in their roster scarf that they weren't planning on. And you look at the fantastic winter that they were already having, bringing in defensive reinforcements like Justin Hack and Jakub Glesnes. What we talked about the other day on the podcast, our podcast, was we were in the conversation being in the top tier in the Western Conference, competing with Vancouver and LAFC. And now you're probably in that second to third tier with teams like Minnesota, Austin, Seattle, if that, right? Like hopefully we get a number 9 to kind of fill that out too. But now we've got this DP size hole. So the interesting part, Rob, from a mechanic standpoint, Riqui's shut down the 5th season. So he's on the season-ending injury list, which means that the Galaxy can go out there and sign another DP. But there's I guess, long story short, the bullseye or the target for who that person is gets really small because you got to think about it. It's basically like you're renting a guy for a year, and then you're going to be in the spot where, okay, Riqui comes back. So it's like one of the topics that we were talking about on our podcast was, do you solve the short term and just put a Band-Aid over it for a year, or do you sign a DP long term and going into next year you have 4 DPs and you'll figure it out at that point? Because I think we've seen what the consequences of not filling out a DP was last year when Will Kuntz and the organization did not put Riqui on the season-ending injury list. And we know this league, DP spots are super valuable. When the Galaxy have high DP utilization, we're a good team. We can win championships with Beckham, Keane, Donovan, and, just in 2024. When we don't, Chicharito out for the year, Dos Santos brothers, the list goes on and on. The Galaxy are not a good team. So this is a really important decision that the front office has to make.
All right, so let me ask you guys, though, the giant-sized hole on the front line then for you, that attacking number 9 now, is this where I know you would have liked to have gone after a target, maybe somebody like Christian Benteke. There's another Christian that's been talked about a little bit, Cristiano Ronaldo, that guy. I don't know if you've heard of him, but lots of names being thrown around. Who is going to be wearing a Galaxy kit next year in response to this injury? Who do you guys think? What do you think?
Rob, I thought you were going for that number 9 position. That's what I heard. I thought you were interviewing.
Yeah, I'm going to be suiting up. Look for me to last for probably like 7 minutes there on the field, and like Scarf said, very, very mobile goalkeeper. Yeah, very mobile striker here as well. It's no secret that Greg Vanney has coveted a new number 9. The Galaxy at present only have Christian Ramirez on the books. There's been some rumors that Matheus Nascimento is close to finalizing a deal to come back on loan, which would give them another striker. But you got to remember, between these two guys, they only scored something like 8 goals last year. Together between them, so it's just not enough. And I know that Greg Vanny is still looking for that number 9. Unfortunately, like you mentioned, Scarf, they do have that big hole right there in the middle of the park at the number 10 position, an attacking midfielder.
Yeah, because if you bring in a number 9 too, guys, like who is going to provide that service? We saw what happened last year when there was no service to even the wingers. Like the wingers, we need to unlock the wingers, and who is that person to unlock them? So that's why the roster decision is super interesting. Like, what do you do? Do you go with DP9, a DP attacking mid? Okay, if you want to bring in even a guy like Harvey Elliott, it sounds like, that deal with Charlotte FC, if you want to bring in a guy like that, he doesn't seem too keen on a 6-month loan and then, having to come back, and then it's the World Cup, right? So it's a calendar issue as well. So lots of forces going against the front office in this case.
Yeah, and look, we're going to hope to talk a lot more about that with you guys next week. Hopefully there'll be some roster news for the Galaxy, but for now, we've got to say goodbye to our good friends Rob and Ananda. Don't forget, check them out on the Lacuna Galaxiana podcast. Thank you, Rob and Ananda, once again.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Don't forget more on Galaxy and the Riqui Puig injury, LAFC and the Strikers with Michele Giannone in a bit. But first, Timmy, let's talk a little LAFC. And there's not a ton to talk about in terms of the black and gold this week, but 3 names that are very, very familiar to the black and gold are potentially, or for sure, resurfacing somewhere else in Major League Soccer. The first one, and look, Christian Philly, my podcast partner, he accuses me of waxing poetic and missing the good old days when we had Mateusz Bogusz. And look, I loved Mateusz Bogusz. He was a star with LAFC, 20 goals, 11 assists in 2024, and somebody who we never really replaced. Rumors that he could be going back to MLS with the Houston Dynamo as a DP spot. It's between them and the now Wilfred Nancy-less Celtic over in Scotland. But man, would that be interesting if he does, by the way. All reports do indicate, like we said, he'll be coming back as a DP. And Timmy, they would play Houston in Houston February 28th, their second match of the season. And then he comes to BMO May 10th. What would it mean? I mean, Bogusz coming back to MLS would be massive.
I think it's huge, but I'm concerned as to why. Why is he only going to spend 1 year at Cruz Azul? I mean, he had a great season, played really well. Did he just miss LA? Did he just miss the US? Does he miss, Scotland? I mean, why is he only sticking around for 1 year in Liga MX?
I'm not sure that the fit worked out very well for him there in Cruz Azul. It took him a little bit of while to get going, that's for sure. But man, it would be rough to see him in a highlighter orange Houston Dynamo kit across from us. A couple other big names, by the way. Walker Zimmerman signing with Toronto through 2027-28. Talk about a hole that wasn't replaced for quite a while after spending 6 seasons with Nashville, which is unreal. Of course, he was a best 11 selection and an all-star on the 2019 Supporter Shield winning LAFC squad. He's also capped 46 times with the U.S. men's national team. But luckily for us, Tim, now that he is signed there, we don't play Toronto next year, so we don't have to worry about going up against Walker Zimmerman. But someone who we will see at BMO Stadium April 4th is Maxime Crepeau back in net, this time with Orlando City. So that'll be interesting to see. Just 5 clean sheets in 41 appearances. Had a little bit of a rough go of that in Portland. But now we've got an awful lot to talk about with our friend Michele Giannone of Apple TV. Don't forget, he talks about all things LAFC, Galaxy, and even some Empire Strykers talk. So please sit down, buckle up, and enjoy this fantastic interview with Apple TV's Michele Giannone and, of course, our very own Gunnar Burnt.
All right. Thanks, guys. Our guest today has a vast background in covering the highest levels of soccer in the world. Born in Italy, raised in Venezuela, he later moved stateside, making him not bi, but trilingual. Today, he's a core member of Apple TV's MLS Season Pass in both English and Spanish. In fact, about a month ago, he worked MLS Cup and in the process interviewed none other than Lionel Messi. He previously worked as a TV and radio host and a play-by-play announcer in Venezuela, and then for over a decade with Univision and TUDN, covering MLS, the Euros, Copa America, several World Cups, and more. Mr. Michele Giannone, welcome to Soccer in 60.
Hey, Gunnar. Happy to be here. How are you?
Yeah, doing well, doing well. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Always great to have an expert on the teams or some of the teams that we cover. Let's start talking a little bit about the LA Galaxy, right? We'll get to LAFC, but let's start with the big one, right? There are certain events where everyone remembers exactly where they were when they first found out about them. I guarantee you, every Galaxy fan remembers exactly where they were, what they were doing when they found out Riqui Puig will miss all of 2026. How did you find out, and what was your initial reaction?
Just sadness. I mean, we all want to see Riqui Puig, even LAFC fans, San Jose Earthquakes fan. I'm pretty sure that they want to see Riqui on the field. He's one of the best, obviously best players in Major League Soccer. I mean, he's in the discussion when he's going to be healthy again. Hopefully 2027, we're not going to have any issues with more injuries, more surgeries, etc. He's in the discussion to be the second best player in the league behind Lionel Messi, right?
Yep.
After Messi, you have Evander, you have Boanga, you have Riqui Puig, but he's right up there. And I think everyone was really excited to see him back on the pitch. We already saw. I mean, I was joking, like at the beginning of the season when the Galaxy, I mean, they got their first win of the season like in week 16 or something, 14. I can't remember exactly. And I was making the joke like, just give Riqui Puig the MVP award. You already show you how a team that just won MLS Cup became instantly the worst team in the league because he was missing. That's the definition of valuable, right? And for fans like me, that I'm not a fan of any team, I'm just a fan of the league, and people that are a fan of the league. Right. And we just want to see the best playing, right? And Riqui is one of the best when he's healthy. And of course, the impact that a player like him brings to the league, right? Fans of Barcelona, people in Spain, in Europe, that started watching Major League Soccer because a player like Riqui Puig, so young, so talented, decided to come to MLS at that stage of his career. So not having him on the field, it's a big hit for fans, for everyone involved in MLS. So sad, bum, because we already missed him last season. So, hopefully 2027 again he comes back stronger and better than ever.
Mm-hmm. Let's stay on the subject just for a second because it's that important, as you said. Let's take a closer look at the midfield for the Galaxy. They signed Justin Hack, a defensive mid who can also play in deeper roles. Diego Fagundes, this is interesting now, right? The club's 2025 Player of the Year seemed to be a goner due to financial implications from the Jacob Glesnes acquisition. Do you feel that the Riqui injury changes the calculus on Fagundes, or does the Galaxy have to replace Riqui with an international caliber attacking mid?
I think the Galaxy should use that DP spot now that gets open when Riqui gets put in the injury reserve. But it's kind of tricky because that spot is just going to be open for 1 year, right? Because when Riqui comes back, you need the spot for Riqui. I was having this talk with Nico Esteves last year when Brandon Vasquez got injured just before All-Star game, and the All-Star game was in Austin, so I had the opportunity to chat directly with Nico, and obviously they could have used that second half of the season to get another DP and replace Brandon Vasquez. But then he said the most logical thing is that, okay, so what do we do when Brandon Vasquez comes back? He's going to retake that DP spot. And if you're going to bring a DP caliber player, you want to bring him for many years, right? Not just to be a fix for a year. You could do that. Why not? But it's a tricky situation. I will try to find big time player to replace Riqui, and then figure out later. When 2027 comes, figure out what you can do with the DP spots. Maybe you can move Peck, you can move Painsil, because you're definitely not moving Riqui. So
Right.
I will try to sign Fagundes because he can be a depth piece, and of course he's one of the players with most games played in MLS history, a lot of goals, assists. He's a leader on the field, off the field, in the locker room, and a Galaxy team that is going to play multiple competitions because they're back in CONCACAF Champions next year. You need depth. And now with Riqui's injuries, you need depth, especially in the midfield. So I will bring back Fagundes or a player similar to his characteristics, but I will definitely use the DP spot to bring a higher caliber player to replace Riqui, because they already invested heavily to be back on the playoffs, to be back as an MLS Cup contender with Justin Hack and Jacob Leclerc. I mean, incredible signings that if Riqui would have come back this year, that team was meant to win and be a contender, right? So I wouldn't miss the window. If you can do it, and then figure it out on 2027. But I will try for sure. I will try to replace Riqui with a player of his caliber. Not easy, of course.
Not easy. And let's now we got to stay on it for one more minute. I've heard, so there's nothing official about this. This is kind of crazy season, right? But let's talk about what people are throwing out. I've heard the name Gio Reyna mentioned, maybe as a short-term solution. Any thoughts on that, or anyone else that pops off the paper for you that you think could be a possible replacement?
I mean, Gio Reyna will be a dream, right? But I don't think all of these names, Weston McKennie, the Gio Reyna, all these USMNT players that people and fans want to see in MLS. I just don't see it. Gio Reyna has been trying to stay in Europe. Now the move from Dortmund to Mönchengladbach seems to be working out for him after a lot of uncertainty, changing teams last year multiple times. A player like Gio, I think he wants to show his value and he wants to stay in Europe for a long time, especially with the World Cup coming in the summer. Maybe after the World Cup, like Weston McKennie's out of contract with Juve. Reports were saying yesterday that Juve is not offering a contract renewal, so he's going to be a free agent. So I'm 100% sure that Major League Soccer teams are going to approach him with a DP spot and a higher salary that he will ever touch in Europe. I think Cincinnati already tried him last year. So for Galaxy, a player like Gio Reyna, a Weston McKennie will be an absolute dream, but I just don't see players like that coming before the World Cup.
Mm-hmm. We're going to have a slightly longer, for everyone that's listening, we're going to have a slightly longer Galaxy segment of the interview today for obvious reasons. I got to ask you one more question. You lived in Venezuela. You're a Venezuelan. There's a number 9 position that needs to be filled for the Galaxy, right? There's a guy who is a free agent. Speaking of free agents, there's a guy by the name of Josef Martinez is out there. Yes. Kevin Baxter of the LA Times came on the show last week and said, I wonder if he's not the greatest locker room guy. There have been some rumors about that potentially. We know some of the things that have happened in the past. You've been pretty close to the reporting on that. What's your take? Is there anything to that?
I think Joseph is the best number 9 in MLS history, and that's my opinion. Mm-hmm. He won everything that a player can win: MLS Cup MVP, one of the greatest seasons in Major League Soccer history. I will say that there was through some of his seasons, the 2 or 3 consecutive seasons where Atlanta United won MLS Cup, he was obviously the best player in the league, give or take with Carlos Vela at that time. His numbers, his most hat tricks, goals per games. I mean, I don't have to keep defending. That's my opinion. I know some people are gonna say I'm crazy. He doesn't have the amount of goals, but when you see like goals per games played, he has the best average. And again, he has won everything in MLS. In my opinion, again, he's the best number 9. Not attacker, not a winger, number 9 in MLS. And he has shown the last 2 years in Montreal and in San Jose last year that he can be still very effective. He can be a number 9 that is going to give you 12 to 15 goals if he stays healthy during a season. I think Galaxy will happily use that. Even though I was pretty bummed, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I was a big fan of Mateusz Nascimento. I don't know if he's coming back or the Galaxy can bring him back. I really like what I saw. I know the goal numbers weren't there, but I mean, who had a great season at Galaxy last year? Gabriel Peck was a shadow of what he was when he won Newcomer on 2024. Paintsill, not even close to what he was in 2024. So I think Mateusz Nascimento with more service, he could be a great goal scorer in Major League Soccer. Hopefully they can bring him back and find a way to bring him back. But having Joseph, maybe not as your starting number 9, but bring him in out of the bench, I think he could be a great signing. And going back to your original question, yeah, Joseph can be a difficult guy. He's very peculiar, but he's also beloved by a lot of teammates and players. I think. I mean, it's difficult, no? Because imagine you are the best at what you do, right? When he got injured, his first knee injury that took him out for a year, he was the best player in MLS. MLS Cup champion, MLS Cup MVP, MVP of the league. And then your body says, no. And then you come back, you try to come back, and you get injured again. And you go through that process when your mind, you want to get back to that place where you were before so bad, but your body just says, no, we don't do that anymore. It has to be so difficult on the psyche and the mind games that and facing that reality, right? So I understand when a player can be difficult to accept that reality, because that's what happened at the end of his tenure in Atlanta with the team. In his mind, he still was Joseph Martinez, right? But his body couldn't do it again at the same level that he was before. So he wanted to be on the field. And Gonzalo Pineda at that time and the front office didn't see it that way. So I can understand how a player goes through that. It has to be so hard, right? When you want to be so bad where you were before and what defined you as the best of the best at what you do. So yeah, it didn't end up well in Atlanta. But since that, I think he has reconciled or accepted the idea that he's not that player anymore. But he can be a really good striker still, like he was the last 2 seasons with Montreal and San Jose. Not the best of the best, but he can give you a good amount of goals, especially coming off the bench for a team like Galaxy. Why not?
Let's move on. We'd love to talk to you about Galaxy. I'd love to talk to you for an hour about each team that we cover. You have so much insight. Let's talk LAFC a little bit so the LAFC fans don't get upset, right? So it's been a very different offseason for LAFC than for the Galaxy. In terms of the roster, the past couple of months have been characterized primarily by a lack of major headlines and by moves mainly to really keep players around. That seems to indicate the front office is happy with the current player personnel. Does that seem reasonable to you, or do you see any urgent roster needs or tweaks that could make the team better?
I was shocked that Cristian Espinosa didn't end up with the LAFC. I would have bet money on it. I'm not a betting person, but I would have bet that. But they got a really good player with Jacob Schaffelberg, great winger. And if Marc Dos Santos is going to keep playing the typical 4-3-3 that we know, that we've known from Steve Cherundolo, and I would presume that why not, right? It's great signing. Obviously, it's going to depend a lot how Aaron Long comes back from the long-term injury. That's a key piece for them. Igor Jesus, same thing, how he comes back in midfield. He's a great player. I love him. And I think they missed him a lot to finish up the season and obviously in the playoffs. It's difficult to make a prediction with LAFC because, they're going to be still in contention, right? Right. We don't know if there are signing somebody else. They still have the window and the spots to sign another big-time player. I think they need to beef up the midfield a little bit, especially because we don't know when or how Igor Jesus is going to come back. I think they could use another center back. Again, we don't know how and Aaron Long is gonna be back. They still have good pieces, but for a team like LAFC, I think you need a little bit of a better and stronger and a deeper roster that they have. Mm-hmm. I really like, again, the Schaffelberg signing. Obviously, Son fixed the number 9 issue, even though he's not number 9, but he became number 9, false 9 by default. And with Bouanga, great partnership, the best partnership in Major League Soccer in the second half of the season. Obviously, like everyone else, a little bit shocked that they didn't bring a big name as a coach, and they decided to give the team to Marc Dos Santos. That clearly tells that they want to continue on this trend of the Cherundolo 2.0. And I want to think, and again, I'm not a betting man, but if I have to put money on it, I'm pretty sure that these type of decisions, the front office talk with Son, talk with Bouanga, with the big time players, and checked with them if they would have, if they like the idea of Marc Dos Santos, and obviously they say yes, and that's I again, I'm not reporting, I'm just guessing that's how that play out in a sense. So that gives me a good sense that the team is going to continue doing good stuff. Hopefully they can play a little bit of better soccer, because I know that was the big criticism against Steve Cherundolo, that the team sometimes didn't play Moses style, a better looking type of soccer, right? It's a team that was based on transition. They will kill you on transitions. They didn't care about possession. They just we'll just kill you with the players that we have in transition. Right. And again, even though he made a lot of finals, they competed every year on every competition. They lost a lot of finals. Mm-hmm. So I understand the sentiment of the fans that wanted something else, because now with Marc Dos Santos, it feels like it's gonna continue, and everything's gonna be exactly the same. But who knows? I remember when the USMNT after the 2022 World Cup, Berhalter was taken out because of all the Gio Reyna and Claudio Reyna situation. And even though the team kept playing the same style under Anthony Hudson, the team was more offensive. They played better. And then BJ Callahan came in for Hudson, and he switched a little bit, and he started playing with a 10 and putting Gio Reyna in that spot. And the team played even better. And they won the Nations League in a big time way, beating Mexico 3-0 and Canada too, etc. So even though Marc Santos was an assistant of Steve Cherondolo, and most likely the team is going to keep playing the same way or in a similar way, I do believe that he has his own ideas, right? And maybe he can implement something different. So I'm hopeful. But also in that sense, I do believe the team needs more depth, and definitely I will sign another midfielder, potentially a creative midfielder. And but make no mistake about it, LAFC is gonna keep still being a powerhouse and probably in the playoffs and fighting for everything that they play, for sure.
That was the most amazing answer ever, because you covered all the other questions I had. So let's move on. I just have one final question for you, and let's move on very briefly to the local pro indoor team that we also cover here, right? The Empire Strykers. Over the years, you have covered Empire's Mexican star Marco Fabián extensively. In fact, you came out to interview him for Univision and TUDN when he first signed in late 2023.
Yeah.
Marco became the MASL co-Golden Boot winner off the bat, and then had another excellent season last time around. What was your impression of him when you two spoke late 2023? And were you surprised that he adapted so quickly to the indoor game?
I saw a guy that was very happy. That I think he accomplished everything that he wanted in soccer, and he was happy. He looked great, fit, and excited for the challenge. Marco Fabián is one of the when you talk about talent, raw talent and technique, one of the best Mexican players of all time in talent. Maybe he didn't show it, or he didn't cement himself. When people talk about the best Mexican players of all time, maybe Marco Fabián is not on the conversation, because for any reason or whatever, he had some issues at some places. But he had a great European career at Frankfurt. And he's one of those Mexican players of the last couple generations that actually went to Europe and showed his talent in Europe. One of the big problems that Liga MX has is that it's a great league to start with. The level is great, and the salaries are on the big teams like Chivas, where Fabián played, Cruz Azul, where Fabián played, América, Tigres, Monterrey. They pay better than Europe, so players stay in Mexico. The best, the young players, they don't necessarily go to Europe, and they stay in Liga MX, and they don't make the jump in quality. Marco Fabián went to Europe and maybe making less money, but he wanted to show his qualities. And I remember covering the World Cup in Russia in 2018, when he was a prominent part of the Mexican national team, and he was at his peak. At that time, I think he was in Frankfurt still, if I remember, but he was in Europe for sure. And he was, again, one of the best, most talented players that I've ever seen coming out from Mexico. Again, sadly, his overall career doesn't show that when you compare to Carlos Vela, Chicharito, etc. But he's in talent, he's one of the best. And when I saw him again, the last time I saw him was that on 2018, and then I saw him again in when he came to Strikers. And I've never heard him so relaxed, so happy, so excited. And retiring from soccer, transitioning to another sport, because it's a ball, you kick the ball, you need to score, but it's a different sport, right?
Right.
And it made me happy that a player that went through the things that he went through in his career. You know how the Mexican fans, the Mexican media can be, all the troubles he had in different spots and stops in his career. But I'm really happy he's doing well. He's happy, and he really embraced this challenge and became one of the better players in the league, and one of the obviously ambassadors, right, for the league and the city, and so it's great to see.
Well, from the biggest star in the MASL to one of the biggest stars in North American, Central American soccer broadcasting, so much insight you have to offer on the teams that we cover. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time, and you gave us way more time than we talked about. So I want to give you an extra thank you for that. Mr. Michele Giannone, thank you so very much for coming on today.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
All right. He might have taken a while, but it was great stuff there from Michele Giannone. We absolutely love having him here on Soccer in 60. Timmy, so many great things to talk about. And he did talk about the Empire Strykers. Unfortunately, right now, Timmy, the talk about the Empire Strykers is a little bit of a losing streak. 5 straight matches falling to the San Diego Sockers of Oceanside 4-3. But I think if you just look at the scoreline, obviously you see the loss, and it's troubling at 5 in a row. But we're talking about a club, Timmy, down 2-0, came all the way back to take the lead, was really putting the pressure on, again, down in Oceanside. Almost a second win this season for Empire down in Oceanside, but another case of losing the lead and losing a match late.
Yeah, and this is a tough one. And you look around the league, you look at some of these other teams that maybe they have 3 or 4 wins, but their goal differential might be negative, right? Or you look at their goal differential in the games that they've won. 3 games that they've won by 1 goal. Empire has lost 4 games by a total of 4 goals. So you look at those things. It's not that they're getting blown out. They're not getting killed or anything, but they're just not finishing the job. And that, I think, is one of the things that Anu Abasi and the team really have to look hard at, that they're not playing poorly. They're just not finishing the matches, Scarf.
Yeah. Yo, you're absolutely right. Look, down 2-0 after the first quarter. Strikers were able to find life through their savior this season, their most consistent offensive performer, Munir Alami. A beautiful back heel assist to Ant Powell brought the Empire back within 1. And then Alami would level the match before halftime. What looked like it might have been a pass, but redirected into the back of the Sockers net by the defender, Mitchell Cardenas. So thank you to Mitchell Cardenas for helping the Strikers out a little bit there. And in the third quarter, they come all the way back to take the lead. And of course, it's another effort by Munir Alami. His pass firing off the glass to Marco Fabián. Fabián one-times it. We're up 3-2. And unfortunately, like you mentioned, the comeback was short-lived. Sockers closed the third with a goal, scored the game winner midway through the fourth. And we just couldn't find one there in the last, 15, 18 minutes or so. It's got to be frustrating to go that long without scoring for the Strikers. And I do want to talk about that concern real quick, Timmy. It is that the offense has gone silent far too many times this season. The defense, you and I have talked about it on this program so many times. Brian Orozco has been a revelation in net. Robert Palmer, Berto might be on his way to another defensive player of the year with how good he has been. But it's been all defense and very little offense so far this season.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing to watch, because a couple of years ago they had neither. And then last year they had a lot more offense, right? You know, they're getting smoked every game. Last year they played a lot better. They had, not as, Berto was with the club last year, played amazingly. But they were putting the ball in the back of the other guy's net. This year it's a much more defensive battle. And where a couple of years ago, you're seeing games, 10-5, 10-9, 11, 13, 14 goals by some of these clubs. Yeah. Now you're seeing a lot more, especially with the Strikers, you're seeing a lot more 5-4, 6-5, 4-3 type of score lines. But if you're going to play that well defensively, those guys up front have to pick up the pace, because it's really, really tough that you're only giving up 4 goals in a game in indoor soccer, and you're not winning.
Yeah.
Last year, you give up 4 goals, you're winning every game.
It's simple. Since putting up 5 in Oceanside on opening night, winning 5-4, they haven't found that number since. And their 3 losses, these last 3 matches, have been by 1 goal, 2 goals, and 1 goal. They are in every single match. Munir Alami has been a revelation, leading the club with 5 goals, 1.2 points per match. But after Alami, the cupboard relatively bare. Marco Fabián, 3 goals, but no assists. Justin Stinson, 2 goals, but no assists. And these are 2 guys that are supposed to be vying for the golden boot. Just 5 goals combined in the first 6 games. Thank goodness for newcomers Ant Powell, who has 2 goals and assists, and Steven Chavez, who's contributed 3 assists. And look, last season, everybody thought it was an aberration. 21 assists in 23 matches for Berto Palmer. He's already back at it, Tim. 4 assists in 6 matches. This is, like you have just said, this is not a club that is playing poorly. This is not a club that's being coached poorly. This is a club that is losing the coin flips, it seems like, every single night. Losing by 1 goal, losing by 1 goal, losing by 2 goals. It's got to be tough. The other bugaboo, I think, Timmy, and I want to get your thoughts on this, what I have seen, is that over the first 6 matches, the Strikers just haven't made their opposition pay for the mistakes that they have made as frequently or as consistently as the opposition has to the Strikers. And look, just 1 turnover, right, is all it takes. You get 1 goal, and now your margin of error is finished.
Yeah, and that's the problem. The Strikers are not burying those chances when there's a turnover at midfield, or there's 2 or 3 shots on frame in the attacking zone when you've got that chance. The Fabián goal off the glass was, great, Wallace-Cora. That needs to happen a little bit more. It's okay. Some of these teams will purposely miss so they get the rebound, or they smash it off the glass so that they get the goalkeeper out of position. These are the things that hopefully starting tonight, right? Tomorrow? Tonight in about a half an hour, happens for the Strikers at Toyota Arena so that they can get off the schneid and get a win in the win column.
Yeah, you mentioned it. The Strikers looking to bounce back in a big way. Thursday, 6:35 p.m. Pacific at Toyota Arena in the beautiful city of Ontario, California, as they welcome the 4-1 Tacoma Stars. And the Strikers will look to bounce back in a big way, Timmy, tonight, 6:35 p.m. Pacific at Toyota Arena in the beautiful city of Ontario, California, as they welcome the 4-1 Tacoma Stars. But all 4 of their wins have come out at Accesso Showwear Center in Washington. Toyota Arena will not be a friendly venue for them. And just a reminder, Thursday's clash at Toyota Arena will reach audiences in the U.S. and around the world via Fox Soccer Plus, MASL Plus, the MASL's YouTube channel, Victory Plus, and several other outlets around the world. Fans can listen in English via the exclusive radio broadcast on Fox Sports 1270 AM. Again, that's Fox Sports 1270 AM for that 6:35 kickoff tonight. And this, once again, has been the fastest paced soccer show in SoCal, Soccer in 60, brought to you by SAC Health System. He's Timmy. I'm Scarf. Thank you once again for a fantastic week